And what I'm going to talk about today is, it's not about uTest, or it's part about uTest, but it's more about crowdsourcing and how crowdsourcing fits with the cloud and how we believe it's going to change the way companies we do testing now and in the future. So just a quick intro about the company. We founded uTest like 2.5 years ago. Basically what we did, we built the largest marketplace for software testing. So we built a community of professional services that is global and diverse. We have more than 30,000 testers around the globe. And basically what we are doing, we are matching professional testers with their skills and software developers with their needs. So let's say I'm a company that develops now a mobile application that is for, let's say, cross-platform for Android, iPhone, and BlackBerry. And it's very hard for me to build an internal team with the skills for all three platforms, with the skills of the functional testing aspect of it, or usability testing aspect of it. What they will do, basically, they will come to us and they will build their test cycles based on various testing parameters. And in a nutshell, our system will match their needs with the tester's skills. And the end result is we build you over the cloud a virtual workforce that is on demand, that is available to you whenever you need, and that at the end of the day gives you the ability to scale your testing needs on an ongoing basis. Till today, we are working with hundreds of customers, various markets, various sizes. We're working with big enterprises like Google and Microsoft, but also with like two guys in a garage startups. Focusing today on functional usability and load testing. We're testing mainly web, desktop, and mobile applications. Mobile is probably our growth market at this point. And since today, we run thousands of test cycles. And basically, as you scale your computing resources, basically, we believe that we can give you the ability to scale your people sources. So at the end of the day, crowdsourcing is to leverage a community of professionals, and it's a business model innovation. It's not a technology innovation at the end of the day. It's basically taking the web and its capabilities and plug into it a group of people that can work for you. So this is the actual definition of crowdsourcing. So basically, it's the act of taking a job or a service traditionally performed by an employee and sourcing it to a large group of people in the form of an open call. So basically, crowdsourcing is all over the place. It's not something that we invented. You can see on the screen a few examples. So Wikipedia was probably the first example or the first public example of a crowdsourcing model. But in the last 5 years, we see it all over the place. And crowdsourcing basically allows the market to solve various problems. So what we did in uTest basically took the same model, more or less, and emerged it into the software testing world. And we believe crowdsourcing is a very good fit to software testing, because in software testing, it's not a one-to-one relationship. It's not like, let's say, in development, you need one team or one developer to do a job, depends on the scale of the development. In testing, it's important that you will have a group, because in a lot of ways, you need different eyes to look on your application in different ways. Because me as a user, I will focus on the usability aspect of your product and make sure that everything works correctly. But my colleagues will actually focus on functional testing on a specific module or on a specific platform. And as a team, we will generate great value to you as a software developer. The problem with the crowd, and that's not unique to us, that's unique across all crowdsourcing services, that it's a crowd, and you need to know how to manage it. Crowdsourcing is not the best fit for everything. And we need to know where exactly is our niche of testing in order to create value to you. So our goal is to create a massive crowd and make it into a more structured crowd. And this structure is being built into our products, it's being built into our processes in order to make sure that A customer will come, will create a set of parameters that he would like to test, he or she would like to test. The system will match the right testers to that type of testing need. Results will come in a very structured way to the customer using the same traditional software testing methods that you have today. It's kind of like using your internal team, but using it over the cloud and using the same internal tools that you have today in-house, but plug the cloud into it. Okay, so what we learned in the last 2.5 years is that software testing and software development in general is kind of changing and going into more apps approach. And we see that the code base of the deliverables, it's all around apps. People sales apps, consumer consume application as an application. Each application is much lighter in functionality and in code. So it's not a development timeline of, let's say, 2 years and then testing for another 8 months and then deploying for another 2 months. And the customer gets a product after almost 3 years. A lot of our customers are agile-based. They will develop on a monthly basis. They will deploy on a monthly basis. It's platform-dependent. So customers today will develop for iOS, for Android, for Firefox. It's becoming complex because at the end of the day, you need to test across huge matrices. What we see nowadays is that even in enterprises, the model still works, like the model of Agile still works. 15 years ago, the matrix was mainly features and operating system. That was more or less the complexity. As the market evolved and the application evolved, we see that the matrices become more and more complex. So nowadays, it's OSs and browsers and firewalls and antiviruses and spywares, languages, locations. Now everyone wants to be global, to have like 8 languages supported in your application. Everything, at the end of the day, affects the application and the way the user interacts with the application. And obviously, it affects the way you test. So I've managed software testing teams in the past, and it mainly was in the consumer market. So our customer base was basically millions of people, and every people basically represent a different set of testing needs. So if it's someone in the US that uses a Mac OS and Safari, someone in the Philippines that's using Windows XP and IE6, and someone in Brazil that's using the Portuguese version of Windows Vista and Firefox. Now, me as a manager, I need to make sure that my application works on each one of those environments in order to get a customer satisfaction, in order to make sure that purchase processes works, in order to make sure that performance-wise, my application behaves correctly across the world. And it's almost impossible to get to that point. And what companies are doing, usually they will take assumptions. They will say, okay, I'm not going to cover the entire world. I'm going to focus on, I don't know, the US and the UK market. I'm not going to focus on Mac OS because it's only 5% of my user base. I focus only on Windows. I'm going to focus only on IE because that's 80% of my user base. And at the end of the day, it affects customer satisfaction. And in today's world, when a Mac OS user will download the application or consume it in some way and will get disappointed, he will tweet about it. He will write it in his Facebook user. He will blog about it. And the bad user effect to small companies is sometimes crucial. And you need to make sure that your application is at least can be consumed in some standard across multiple slots of the matrix. We've touched about crowdsourcing. What we did in the last 2 years is trying to truly understand where crowdsourcing is a good fit, because it's not a good fit for everything. We came with some structure around how to manage a crowdsourcing test cycle and what's the right method to deliver a crowdsourcing test cycle. And we also saw a shift in the way companies are doing software testing. And James Whitaker, that is here and will present later on today, basically is the one that wrote about the shifting from internal teams to outsourcing, which was very popular and still somewhat popular specifically in the software testing space. And now crowdsourcing is going to change the market to some extent. In-house versus offshoring. What we see is that crowdsourcing is very good with your internal team and with your outsourcing teams. We have a lot of customers that have internal teams. It can be a small group of testers or a large group of testers. And basically, since testing is a peak type of business, so you are developing for 2 months and then you need to test for another 3 weeks or so, during those 3 weeks, they will test internally some aspect of the application, let's say the back end of the application, and they will use the crowd or use the community in order to test different aspects of the application. Let's say the back end, or let's say cross-browser compatibility, and that allows company to have the knowledge internally and give them the ability to test in fast cycles and scale the testing needs on an ongoing basis, but also using the crowd in order to make sure that the application works in aspects that they actually cannot test internally. And that's a very powerful aspect, because for me as a customer, in a click of a button, I can say, I'm going to test 60% of the application using my 5 testers and another 40% of my application using another 25 testers out of the crowd. Is a very powerful way for me to scale my testing organization. So it works very good with both models. So basically what the pros that it provides, provide you coverage, agility, creativity, and obviously reduce the cost.